Hello, dear friends. Welcome to a very special day on Kardec Radio. Today, our day is dedicated to rediscovering the power of togetherness by expressing gratitude and seeing our very own Spiritist centers as a gift from God, as a unique opportunity. Is it easy for us to embrace the cause? Not quite, because life is a school and we are meant to undergo tests so as to strengthen our souls. So the tests are indeed blessings in disguise. Our session today is devoted to having us strengthen our souls together by rediscovering the power that God has given to us so as to become co-creators in the good. And what better place to become co-creators in the good than our very own Spiritist centers? And to enact the power of togetherness right here and right now, we have our dear Angie Stewart joining us and our dear Mack Melo joining us as well. What a beautiful team from Master Jesus himself. Welcome, Angie. Welcome, Maki. How are you?
Awesome! Better that we are here now.
Yes, absolutely. Hello, Mack. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you for having us. It's a real pleasure. I can almost like smell the flowers, these beautiful like flowers that I see here on the screen. That's nice.
Absolutely. See how the power of togetherness works? We bring and multiply joy to one another. How beautiful. And speaking of joy, before we begin, we would like to express our joy and gratitude to God for this moment, for this beautiful reincarnation, for the unique opportunity of knowing of Spiritism and allowing for it to literally transform our lives. So let us join together in a moment of prayer, shall we, dear friends?
Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
So let us close our eyes and open our hearts, raising our thoughts and feelings to our dear Mother, Father God. Thank you, dear God, for not only creating us for the good, but also allowing for us to be a living result of the ultimate good, you. Knowing that your designs are perfect, we are so grateful to be amongst your children on earth at this exact time, where there is so much light shining. And we thank you for the promised consoler, for the presence of Master Jesus himself in our hearts. And we pray so that today we feel strengthened in Master Jesus' living examples, so that we may follow the pathway that he has walked upon. We thank you for the power of togetherness. We thank you for the gift of Spiritist centers, these regenerative schools on the earth. We pray so that we are courageous to embrace this very unique opportunity, knowing that everything in our lives is a result of your love. We also pray for everyone listening to us, everyone in their networks, everyone in need of support at this time. May it be spiritual support, emotional support, physical support. May everyone, dear God, feel embraced by you, and may the good from you prevail within each and every one of us today and always. And with your permission, dear God, we ask you to begin our program, and so be it.
So be it.
What a blessing to be together in prayer. This is one of the ways in which we find strength to overcome obstacles, the very topic that we are going to discuss tonight. So, now, dear friends, we will uh, do a small introduction and then we will call our dear Angie and Mac back again to share even more wisdom from on high with us. So we'll see you, dear Angie and dear Mac Melo, in a moment. Thank you. So, dear friends, we are going to begin this journey together by studying a brief message from the Spirit Mentor Emmanuel. In this message, Emmanuel tells us that obstacles are not a punishment from God. Emmanuel invites us to revisit this perspective, perceiving obstacles as stepping stones for us to move forward and progress, since progress is a law of God. So let us learn from Emmanuel how to shift perspective and strengthen ourselves so as to progress and align ourselves with God's will all the more. Emmanuel begins this message from the book In This Instant with the following advice. When you feel under the cold of disillusionment, don't believe that the effort you spend on the good has been fruitless. Emmanuel then tells us the breakdown of a certain machine teaches you patience. So Emmanuel is a visionary. Of course, there were no cell phones at his time, but he could already foresee our levels of frustration as we develop dependency on these beautiful devices. And he's telling us that even that is a sign of God's love, teaching us patience. So he's inviting us to always see the glass half full, for in everything there is a lesson from God's wisdom. Then Emmanuel goes deeper in this message by saying the distancing of a partner will have been the means of awakening your dormant energies so that you amplify your actions. Often we see the distancing of those whom we love almost as a curse. But Emmanuel is inviting us to revisit this challenging situation. Emmanuel is reminding us that whatever God allows, that even the distancing of loved ones are allowed by God out of love. How so? Because as we learn to live in a new configuration, we develop new muscles, new virtues that may have been hidden before. So the challenges are almost needed to gently push us forward, for us to have even a greater motivation to go within and discover the divine virtues that are already shining, but that need to expand from within. So even new configurations in our family circles or otherwise in our lives are God's vow of confidence in us. God is saying, I am only allowing this to happen because I trust you. So let us revisit challenges as a sign of God's trust. Then Emmanuel knows that many of us have already undergone financial difficulties. He understands what it means to be on earth. So he tells us the money that is owned and that you still haven't received is an invitation from life for you to work harder and better. So, why does God allow for financial difficulties to materialize? Is it to punish us? Not at all. It's to allow for us to discover potentialities that may have been dormant if we were within our comfort zone. So, why does life, quote unquote, sometimes push us out of certain scenarios? Because God knows that there are divine seeds that need to blossom, and God believes that we are ready to allow for it to blossom. In the United States of America, we are entering spring. So we can visualize our hearts as divine gardens and God as the ultimate sower, placing beautiful seeds of great virtues in us. So the difficulties are there as fertilizers of the soul to allow these beautiful seeds to blossom. So these are signs of God's love. And Emmanuel goes further, understanding what it means to live on earth. He says, the disease controlled or defeated is a lesson that helps you to safeguard your own health. So even a disease is a sign of God's love because one, we know that through a disease we are flushing out vibrations that no longer belong to us in our perispiritual configuration. And also, we know that diseases educate us, teaching us how to maintain or stay healthy. So, even diseases can be instruments of God's love. And Emmanuel finalizes this very wise set of recommendations by telling us when the crisis comes after you, remember that the obstacle is simply urging you to start your task again. So, everything, dear friends, all obstacles are an invitation for a new beginning. In the book The Messenger by André Lewis, we see the cases of many discarnate spirits who were prepared to reincarnate and embrace tasks in Spiritist centers because of obstacles such as their families, members not understanding them, because of financial difficulties, etc., they gave up. We, however, are here not to give up, but rather to understand that obstacles are opportunities for us to progress, stepping stones for us to march forward and reach even higher in terms of, of our spiritual growth. Because after all, this is what this reincarnation is about, our very own spiritual growth through service. And what better place to be of service than our very own Spiritist Center through the power of togetherness. So now our dear Angie is going to share even more wisdom with us as we rediscover the power of togetherness together and overcome obstacles always, not only in this life, but in many other lives to come. Thankful to God for being able to develop new muscles of the soul. So, Angie, we are super ready for you. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you so much, Carol. Beautiful, beautiful message. Emmanuel always full of wisdom, and we can constantly learn. And this is the important thing. So you asked us to introduce ourselves. So I'm Angie Stewart. I am the president and the founder of the MIA Inner Light Spiritist Society here in Miami. And I am also one of the people that have a program in Kardec Radio called Mia Inner Light. And our program is on Thursdays, where we study two books, Heaven and Hell. And the second book is What is Spiritism? So I welcome all of you to join us on Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, so we can learn together. And now I'm going to share some slides also that I have prepared so we can go through the first portion. As we know, the title of this talk is Overcoming Obstacles. And I will be talking specifically about the strategies of the inferior forces. So let's go through it so we can discuss little by little. So to start talking about any type of strategies, we really have to understand what is the Spiritist Center. So the Spiritist Center has so many functions, but these four are the main ones. We could even say five, because we could also add home to this, because we understand that we are all brothers and sisters in spirituality. So we could add a home too. So let's go. For example, school. Yes, the Spiritist Center is a school because we go to the center to learn. We are constantly learning when we are studying Spiritism. We are learning about everything that happened in the past, what happened. When we talk about mediumship and we studied so many books that were brought through many mediums around the world, we understand what happened to them when they were alive and what were the consequences when they are alive in the spiritual realm. So it could be a school. It could be also a temple, because where we go to pray, to connect with God, to connect with the enlightened spirits. So this is also a temple for us. It is work, because when we really like a place, we want to volunteer there. We want to donate our time. So all the Spiritist practitioners, because we don't get any money, everything is free, we are volunteers. We go there, we help to set up the center, to clean, to prepare food. So it's like a job. And finally, it's a hospital, because we go there to be treated, spiritually speaking. We receive the energetic passes. Many centers have different types of treatments that we can go through. We receive the blessed water. So there are many ways that we can analyze a Spiritist Center as a hospital. So now that we know all this, a Spiritist Center helps the incarnated and discarnated. And the lower level spirits, they are always trying to destroy the centers. And how they try this? They create many different ways, but they create turmoil, they create like a misunderstanding amongst the attendees, the practitioners, the speakers. So all this, because they see a Spiritist Center as a place that they can disturb their way of thinking or acting. That's why when we are doing good in the beginning, when we are not very strong about it, all kinds of negative influences can affect us. And we need to understand also the difference between the participants and the practitioners. So really quickly speaking, the participants are the ones that attend the public meetings. They go to lectures and, sometimes more occasionally than regularly. But the practitioners are those that are committed. They know if my meeting, for example, is a Tuesday at 7 o'clock, I am preparing my life around it. So I will prepare my job, anything that I will be able to go there. So I am committed to that. And the participants, they are those individuals that they go to the Spiritist centers, they like the ideas, but they are not ready to change. We know there are certain points in Spiritism that affect us very deeply. And everyone says, okay, you have to change. Only changing you will be able to improve. And sometimes it's very hard for people to change certain negative tendencies. But in other ways, the practitioners, they are already applying this. They are ready and they accept the ideas that is the Spiritism brings to us, and they are making the changes. We understand that we cannot change from 1 minute to another, but exactly like the message from Emmanuel, we fall, we stand up, and we start our task again. That's the only way that we can really change. And this is just a simple comparison to give us a better understanding. So 2 animals were asked to participate in a dinner. And then they asked, what can you provide? And then the chicken said, okay, I can provide only the eggs. And that's what I am committed to do. So the chicken was committed for this dinner, but partially committed because she was going to provide eggs. But then the pig was fully committed because the pig said, I will provide the bacon, meaning I will give my life. I will fully on board. Whatever is happening, I will be there. I will donate my life to the cause. Of course, this is just an analogy. It's just for you to imagine. But think about, where are you at this moment? Are you the chicken or are you the pig? So we were all chickens in many ways, in many times, but hopefully we are getting the strength to become more committed. Maybe not committed to do certain things because you don't feel well in that way, but committed in changing your life, committed to going back to the Spiritist Center. We are talking about so many centers after the pandemic were extremely affected because people just disappeared. Yeah, so probably they were chicken. But now we are returning with strength, understanding that this is something that helped me and it can continue helping myself and it can help the people that are around me, maybe my friends, my family. So we should really reflect on this and see what can we commit? How can we be better, improving always? So we see the relationships here. The chicken is more fragile, but the pig is a stronger one. We all would like to be a stronger relationship in every sense, but sometimes we are not there yet. But let's continue working on it. And what are the difficulties for this? Many, many different ones. So in life, we already have so many different types of difficulties. We have all this, but in the Spiritist Center, we have many others. So in the Spiritist Center, we can face all these items. I'm not saying it happens constantly, but I'm saying this could happen to me, to you, to anyone. And it's important for us to identify when something like this is happening, because we can fight. We can fight the good fight. We are not going to punch and doing things in this way, but we can fight in a positive way to overcome these difficulties. This is what we want to learn. And the greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. This is a beautiful center of Molière, this amazing writer, poet, philosopher from France. So we can always overcome it. What happens is that many times we want this to be done immediately, right now, or better. We wish this had never happened to us. But we also know that everything happens for a reason, and we don't know what's the reason. So if something is happening to us, let's face it, let's raise our heads and go on. Let's move on and try our best to overcome that difficulty. So now we're going to go through what are these strategies? What can happen? There are so many different types of strategies. I just pinpoint few of them so we can be more aware of it. So for example, negative influences, the bad thoughts that many times they come to our minds. And, we are talking about the Spiritist Center, but this can happen anywhere. This can happen in your job. This can happen in your own home. But it frequently happens in the Spiritist centers. So these brothers and sisters that are against Spiritism, they try to do anything possible to make the center weaker. And how do you make a Spiritist center weaker? When you make the members, the participants, the practitioners, you make them to have issues among themselves. So we, the ones that are there, that are dedicating our time, volunteering there, we start having issues with other members, animosities. And so ideas come to our minds. And like, oh, suddenly I'm having this negative thought against Carol. What? Sweet Carol. What did Carol do to me? Nothing. So we have to analyze, why did I have this thought? Where this came from? So we start thinking, is it from me? Is a cause of something, cause and effect of something, or maybe it's an external cause that's creating this? This is first to think right now. And then we also have discouragement, or exaggerating facts, creating guilty feelings, or even fear in many different ways. So maybe we said something that was not really nice to someone, and now we have this overwhelming sensation of embarrassment or something. And maybe I shouldn't go back to the center because what I did was so horrible. This person is never going to forgive me. I'm just giving an example because sometimes our issues are so small, but our mind creates this exaggeration, or this exaggeration could be influenced by negative spirits. So we have to be aware of it. We have to be aware. I am creating something. I am making it bigger than what it is. And what is stopping me to talk to the person? To go directly to the person and say, listen, I'm so sorry. I think I told you something that was not really nice. I was not well inspired, or I was going through some private problems, and then I answered this way. We can always fix something. The problem is that we kind of postpone. We leave it to another time. Oh, no, let's forget about it. But our conscience many times brings us to rethink about that. So this is another thing to think. And the one that is also important, the doubts, accepting gossips, fake news, the intrigues. This happens a lot. Again, in Spiritist centers, it happens a lot. It's natural that we will have more affinity with certain people than the other. It's natural. So we will be pulled to be close to certain people that we have affinity with them. And we will be a little further from someone. It's not that we don't like the person, but it's not such a connectivity. But it's also dangerous that someone in the group that we have affinity, for example, might start a gossip about someone in the other group that we already don't get so well together. And this is a big danger because this little tiny gossip can start growing. And many times, without knowing, you are participating in it. So maybe you're participating not so actively, but you are listening. So when you are listening, you are really feeding this type of thing. And we should really do like this. When someone comes to start like some kind of gossip, I think the person is doing this, this, and this. We should say, listen, when we say I think, it's already something that could be wrong. So we have to be careful. We don't want to start accusing people, accusing friends, accusing brothers and sisters, or things that we are not sure. So it's always good to be direct, to be clear, and to really close any type of possibility of gossips or doubts. And the most important, we have to resist against obsessions. And when I talk about obsessions, we know there are so many different layers of obsessions. I'm talking about the very low ones because they start like this, they start very low and then can start growing. So when we start with any type of negative ideas, anything that I already mentioned, let's stop and let's reflect. Why am I like this? Why am I feeling this? So we start analyzing ourselves. So now that's the important point. How can we do it? So ways to protect ourselves. The first way always for us is pray and watch. This is what Jesus taught us more than 2,000 years ago. And many times we have difficulties on putting it in practice. It's difficult, but this is the most important thing. So when any of these negative ideas, gossips, misunderstandings that sometimes brings this terrible animosity comes, let's pray. Let's pray to our guardian angel to give us some inspiration. Let's exercise some kind of meditation to calm down, to reflect on what happened. And let's watch everything, and especially ourselves. This is how we should act. Another important point is self-analysis and exercising common sense. Look at this picture. If you are doing this, if you are cutting the tree, but you are actually sitting on the arm of the tree, don't you have common sense of what is the big probability in happening there? Yes, you are going to fall. That we should know that. But sometimes it's not that obvious. So the self-analysis is like you have to know thyself. Know yourself. If you are a person that already enjoys gossip, for example, be careful. You don't want to feed this. You really have to learn how to cut, how to, no, I cannot feed this. I need to change. You know yourself. So if you don't know yourself, you are at risk. And another thing, if something is really easy or very tempting or something that it causes doubt, be careful. You have really to analyze. Use your common sense. Would that person be doing this really? Are you sure? Why don't you investigate it? Why are you going to start spreading negativity when it might be a big lie? So this is another very important point. The other one is moral self-improvement. It's like our self-improvement. We have to be better every day. And only when we improve ourselves, we are able to be stronger and more protected. We have to learn how to be better, forgiving others, because problems happens. Maybe really a problem happened. Maybe we were accused of something. Maybe someone hurt us in the Spiritist Center, in our home, in the job, anywhere. But we have to exercise our forgiveness. We are in the Spiritist Center to do that, to learn how to do that, to learn how to be a better person, to be a calmer person, a more positive, a more loving. This helps us to overcome so many difficulties in our daily lives. And asking for guidance for our spiritual benefactors. Yes, we are praying, but asking for guidance of our benefactors is a direct prayer. You know there is some kind of strange thing happening. So, my guardian angel, please help me to see what I don't, or help me to get out of this situation. Help me to make amends. Guide me, inspire me. Help the guardian angel of that person to be more flexible in talking to me, because sometimes we want to talk to somebody else and this person is avoiding us. So you have to practice all this. And in this beautiful book that we study to be able to talk a little bit about it, so Eli Caldas Schubert also talks about the guidance for these obsession meetings. Yes, it's for the Spiritist Center. When we have mediumistic meetings, for example, is one thing very important, because we receive hundreds of messages. Some Spiritist centers, they receive also books. So it is important when we go through it to review these messages as a group, because many times the mediums receive many messages and everybody accepts it blindly, don't even think about the message. Many messages are beautiful and powerful, but they already have a little bit of a strange things like, oh, and by the way, you are the best medium of this house. Something like that. Isn't that a little strange? An enlightened spirit would never be trying to make a medium to feel special, or many other ways. So that's why it's important to analyze the message and really accept what is good and accepted by everybody in the meeting. Another important thing is to review how the mediator dealt with the spirit. Was it good? Was it loving? Was the mediator able to really help the spirit to understand how to change? And I'm not saying no, everything you did was wrong, because it's never wrong. If it's done with love, it's always good. But sometimes it could be addressed in a slightly different way that would be better. So this is also a way to help the center. And one last thing that's very important is that the sincere and dedicated practitioners are always protected. So in the beginning, people think, oh, I'm going to go in a mediumistic meeting full of negative spirits. They are going to all come back with me to my house, so I don't want to participate. But that's not true. When you're really trying to help others, you receive so much help constantly. We are always being protected. But of course, we have to do our part. We can't be expecting to be protected if we are not punctual, if we miss many meetings, if we are asked to do a task and we don't commit. So this is really something to think. And the last portion of this book, in this sense, is that the Joana de Angelis, the spiritual benefactor of our dear Divaldo Franco, she brings this knowledge to us. So Joana, she is the one who told us that we have to do these three tasks. So spiritualize, that's when we are going to apply the beautiful teachings of Spiritism into our life. We start changing. When we improve in certain things, our minds change. And we start like, wow, I am able to do it easily. And maybe like 10, 20 years ago, would be crazy. But now we are living it. We are applying this to our daily lives. This is spiritualized. The second part is qualify, is when we keep improving our knowledge. It's so important for us to study. Every Spiritist Center has group studies. Yeah, the lectures are wonderful, but it's very important for us to deepen our knowledge, to know more, especially the books of decodification, to know deeper about it. That's when we really will be able to be qualified. And then finally, humanize. Humanize, incorporate the charitable work into our lives. Most of the Spiritist centers have some kind of charitable activity. If yours don't have it, start one. Create something that you could do as a group. Many centers, they have individuals who do charitable actions, but it's so much easier for certain people to join an activity that's already going on. Or you say, I'm going to the nursing home, would you like to come with me? So it's more people coming, it's easier. But that's what we should be doing. So when we are able to apply strongly these three actions into our lives, we are being changed by Spiritism, and we start changing the ones around us, our friends, our family members, people that go to the Spiritist Center. So all this show us how beautiful and how important it is to be in a Spiritist Center when we are connected with friends, with brothers and sisters, with people that we don't know well yet, but we have one thing in common. That's the Spiritism. So this is the beautiful part. And the yes, we always can overcome our difficulties. We just have to do our part. So now I give to our brother Mackenzie.
Yes, so here I am. Thank you, Angie, for this very insightful talk and some great ideas on how we can work better within our Spiritist centers. So thank you for inviting me, everyone. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Vanessa. Thanks everyone that came before us. I know that based on the programming that we received, we're going to be the last ones to have like a main topic. I don't know the rest of the programming, but thank you everyone for everything that you did before us in this beautiful day. When we talk about the Spiritist Center, rediscovering the power of togetherness. And I am Mackenzie Melo, as you may see my name down below there. I used to host a few programs here on Kardec Radio. It's been a while since the last time I really did something here, but we keep active in our Spiritist Center here in Massachusetts. We are part of Cantinho de Luz, which in English would be a little spot of light in the town of Peabody, Massachusetts, once again. And Vanessa invited me, and I'm here circled and surrounded by these beautiful women. And I don't know how many more are around surrounding me right now, so that we can talk a little bit about the importance of the Spiritist Center. And our topic is overcoming obstacles, as Carol told us, and Angie talked a little bit about it. And her topic was about these strategies. And my topic, the topic that was given to me, is inner obstacles. So I'm kind of an old-fashioned talker. I didn't prepare any specific PowerPoint, but I have took some notes and some great notes on what Angie was saying. And inner, right? Inner challenges, right? So it's what's inside. In this book that we were given as a framework for what to study and to talk about, it's called in English it would be translated something like spiritual dimensions of the Spiritist Center, where this great writer, Brazilian writer, medium, she already passed away, Sueli Caldas Schubert, She wrote about, what the Spiritist Center is, not only from the physical perspective but also from the spiritual perspective. And she has this sentence that I kind of really love, and that's right at the beginning of the book, where she says, and I'm gonna free translate here because I don't know, I don't think that this book has been translated to English yet, but she says, the Spiritist Center is much more than the physical home that serves as its headquarters. So she's saying the Spiritist Center is way bigger, and Angie provided a few of these aspects of a Spiritist Center, like hospital, school, home, work, right? But it's not confined to those four walls, to the physical space. It's way more. And that's why the book is titled Spiritual Dimensions, meaning that we are joined together when we are inside the Spiritist Center, physically inside the Spiritist Center. We are like this family or this group of volunteer workers or this group of friends or however we want to call ourselves. In our Spiritist Center here, we like to call ourselves our little family. And that's how we try to make um, everybody that comes to us feel as if we are all part of this small group, but a big family, or at least a family with a big heart. And when we are together, right, when we are um, living together, when we are sharing experiences with each other, of course that challenges will arise, right? We will start meeting people, we'll start knowing better people, we'll start, seeing how people behave, what they tend to do, what they like to do, what they don't like to do. And with this, we are going to have this uh, clashing of some sorts of people inside. And of course, as in any family, we have to understand that these clashes are, as Carol pointed in the beginning, obstacles that need to be overcome, right? And once we understand that obstacles are or problems are there to be solved, we need to learn how to solve the problems. So we have to remember every problem, the more difficult, even the most difficult ones, are solvable. We can solve them. Some are very easy, some we will be able to solve very quickly. But depending on how old mentally or how mature we are, some problems might take longer or might be quicker to solve. So, for example, if we have a kid, a girl, a boy that's just got to school and it's starting to learn what is the color blue and what is the color green and what is the color red, they will make mistakes, right? Because they still didn't understand what colors are. There will come a point when they will see what colors are and then they will not make mistakes anymore. It might take a while, but for us, right, we see a color and we know what the color is. So this is not even a problem, but it was a problem in the past. How did we overcome this? It was an inner challenge. It was something that I had to do with myself or to myself to learn how to deal with that problem. And then we were able to solve it. So these are smaller inner challenges, right? And I didn't know how to write my name. And it took me a long time to learn. I don't know how old I was when I was able to learn to write my name. But then I was able to write my name, and now I can write my name. Maybe one day, I mean, I'm not a doctor. Doctors usually tend to forget how to write their names, right? It's so funny, you get doctors have to write so fast that nobody understands. It's like hieroglyphics, right? That they write, and people make fun of it. Fortunately, these days, when they provide um, medication for us, they don't write it anymore. They send it to the pharmacy, right? So that we can get the pharmacy, and then they get it in electronic form. So another problem that was solved. It was an inner difficulty that we created a solution for it. And what about, inside? And so when I was studying or thinking about this topic, again, inner challenges, I tended to go towards the person, so towards myself, right, towards the individual. And um, as as I was reading more and thinking about more, and after I watching Angie speaking, um, I tend to see that we are talking about inner problems not only individually, but also, as I pointed out, inside the Spiritist Center. And Angie already talked a few minutes about this, right? That we have to learn how to deal with these influences, right? With these strategies that come from the exterior to so that we are aware of those and then we don't fall, right? So that we can really be able to overcome these obstacles, be them from the exterior, but also from the interior, from the inside. And how do we deal with these problems or situations that we have on the inside? And the only thing, or not the only thing, there's so many things that we could talk about, but one thing that comes to my mind is when the spirit mentor of Chico Xavier, right, which is the great medium of Brazil, already passed away. Uh, when he was about to start his mediumship, he was about to start his mission of receiving these books and doing his missionary work in Brazil. The spirit Emmanuel came to him and told him, "Hey, I only need three things from you. The first thing is discipline, and the second, discipline, and the third, discipline. So if you give me these three things, you'll be able to finish your work here on earth." And he was able to do it. So three things: discipline, discipline, and discipline. So we could talk about this in so many ways, but let's talk it only in one way. So if we put discipline to everything that we have, that we want to do, that we need to do, we will be able to achieve the final goal of it. So let's say that we are having, like Angie said, we had a problem with the person. I behaved incorrectly. I said something that I didn't want to, but I really want to improve myself. I know that for me to improve myself, I have to undo or do better next time. And meanwhile, I cannot do better next time. I have to try to fix the mistake that I made before I commit another one. So I have to go back and say, oh, let me be disciplined. Let me put myself into a pathway and let me follow that pathway. So what's the pathway? For example, if I did something wrong, I have to apologize. It's the first thing to do. It's not the last thing, but it's the first thing to do. So if I follow my own path or the path, the next step is ask for forgiveness. If I receive forgiveness or not, that's not my issue. That's one inner challenge that I'm trying to overcome. If the other person gives me or not the forgiveness, now it's on the other person. But I am sincerely asking for forgiveness. That's my first step. What's the next step? Reparation. I have to do something to fix what I did. Asking for forgiveness is not fixing something. So that's my next step. So I have to keep going and walking towards that path of being a better person. And that's one way to overcome these challenges that I have inside myself, right? And I keep coming back to the overcoming obstacles. They are obstacles. It doesn't matter if it's outside or if it's inside. I have to learn that I need to do something. I cannot just be waiting. There's a song that says, I'm waiting on the world to change. And it's kind of it's a really interesting song when if you listen to it a little bit. It is almost as if, oh, I want this world, the world to be better, so I'm going to wait for the world to change. And of course, it's like a tongue-in-cheek song in that sense that, of course, that he's being kind of sarcastic when he says that, because everybody knows, or every single person knows, that the world will not change if I don't change. So if I want the Spiritist Center to change, I have to start changing, right? Like Mahatma Gandhi says, be the change you want the world to have, right? Or be the change you want the world to be. Because if the whole world change and I don't change, I'm going to be moved out of the world, right? So I have to be part. If I want the world to be better, I need to be part of the change that the world needs to be. So um, Kardec gives us like so many things to think about this, and I took note on a few things here, but I'm going to say only one, which to me is, and maybe to all spiritists, is one of the highlights, one of those sentences that you always go back to when he says that the true spiritist can be recognized by their moral transformations and by the efforts that they employ in order to dominate their bad instincts. So he's saying that it's not just about changing. I mean, it's about the to be imbued, to really have that discipline of, okay, I am putting the effort to change, right? Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it takes more than one day, it takes more than a year, it takes more than 10 years. But if I keep doing it, right, I will be able to do it, right? When we start, I didn't know how to do one plus one. And now I can do math in my head. And before I had to write and to see two sticks to understand that one plus one equals two fingers, right? But now I don't need those things to understand that because it's all in my mind. How long did it take for me to get there? I don't know, but I got there. I am here, and hopefully in the future I will be better. So maybe, hopefully tomorrow I'm better than I am today, and the day after I'll be better than the day than tomorrow, and so on. So it is a commitment to what I need to do, that to what I want to do, to where I want to get, right? And if I want to be a better person, if I want to be a good person, as Kardec puts also in the Gospel according to Spiritism, and I took some notes here, but I'm not going to have time to do it. But if you want to go and read Gospel according to Spiritism, items from chapter 17, items 3 and 4, the good person and also the good spiritist, which are like one follows the other, and these are great. It's like be perfect. It's the title of the chapter, and that's what Jesus invites us to do. And what better place for us to gather strength if not inside the Spiritist Center, if not in within a group that has this, at least mentally, or at least in our wishes to improve ourselves together, to be better, right? To learn more and to put these things into in practice. So if not even there we are not able to do this, there's something wrong with us. Let's not blame or check on the others. No, we have to do it from within, from ourselves, and overcome these obstacles from the inside out. And once we start doing this, and once we do this, we improve the whole world around us. We improve ourselves, and then we can improve this. We can improve a little bit this, or a little bit of that. And Jesus is always inviting us to be perfect, like he says, be perfect as your Father who is in heaven is. You can do everything that I did and more. You are God's, right? We were created in the image and similitude of God, our mother, our Father God, and we can be there, we can reach, but we have to be, you know, of we have to be disciplined, as I said. We have to persevere. We have to know that we have problems, that we are still imperfect, and that we need to overcome these. We need to step over, give one more step. It's one more step and one more step. right? We have eternity, or we have infinitude, right, of life to do this. But we should start now, and we should start within the Spiritist Center. You know, I know we have some issues. You know, we want to. We have this, or they have this meeting online, so it is fine once, twice, but we need to be together. We are social beings. We need to be together so that we can improve, so that we can warm ourselves up, so that we can um, make this change to the world. I'm going to tell just one small story so that I can finish it up. There's this story that I love so much about togetherness. That's this it's told in a country on I if I remember correctly, was in Ireland or in the UK or so, and there was this person who used to go to the church for a very long time, but then one day he got tired and he just didn't want to go anymore. And it was a cold day, and then he didn't go. And then next week he didn't go to the sermon again. And then next week, for whatever reason, he didn't go to the sermon again. Then the pastor got worried and went there to visit him. And it was like a cold day, and they had like a fireplace, and so he knocked on the door, entered the room, and oh, welcome, come here, sit. And then the man already started to apologize. Oh, I'm I'm tired, and I think that I can read my Bible here. I can study thing here. And the pastor didn't say anything like, oh, let's go back. No, he didn't say anything. He said, oh, that's great. You know, it's always good to have the Bible, to have the good books, and by your side, and it's awesome. And then while they were talking, he said, oh, can I go to your fireplace? The pastor said, yeah, feel free to do so. So he went to the fireplace, moved the flames around, moved the charcoal from a place to the other. And, more heat came out from it. And then he grabbed one small piece that was very, very brightly red. And then he took one piece with the stick and then put it away, put it close to the door. And then the man looked at that and didn't say anything because, maybe he saw that there was something wrong with it. And then they kept talking about life, about things. And then all of a sudden, the man looks again at the charcoal that was bright, bright red. And then after like 5 minutes, the charcoal was totally dark. And then, but the fireplace was still red, was still burning hot, was still very, very bright. And the pastor went back there, grabbed the charcoal, and put it back again into the fireplace. And once the charcoal was back into the fireplace, in a few minutes, that charcoal was bright red again. Next week, that man went back to church. And that's what we are trying to do here. We're trying to say that togetherness, it is very important. If we have a problem here, if we have an issue here or there, and we can't go, there's no big deal. We always have problems. Everybody has problems, has difficulties. But it's together that we are able to be stronger, that we are able to do more, that we are able to feel better, that we are able to walk longer, even if it's slower, but to walk for a longer distance because we have the support of everybody that surrounds us. So let's be together so that we can help each other to overcome obstacles, be them from strategies of the inferior forces, as Angie spoke very well, be it from the challenges from the inside of ourselves. So let's be perfect as Jesus asked us and told us that we can be, that we can do. And with this, I invite you guys back, and I thank you very much for being here with me, with us for this beautiful and wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Mackenzie, and thank you, dear Angie, for sharing so much wisdom and hope with us. Thank you so much. As you guys were speaking, we were visualizing in our minds our very own guide and model, Master Jesus, who could have said, "Oh, I'm good. I can do it all by myself. I don't need anybody because, I'm the governor of the planet after all. And, guys, I co created the earth. So, whatever." But no, Master Jesus, our guide and model, never had this prideful, entitled attitude. It's even funny to think about it because it doesn't match. He was the opposite. Although he is the governor of our planet, he understood the power of togetherness. He never made himself so high above everyone else that he didn't reach out. Quite the contrary. He had 12 disciples working with him constantly, and he's inviting all of us to join in. He's not closing the circle, quite the contrary. He is expanding the circle, and the Spiritist Center is part of this expansion, divine expansion guided by Master Jesus. So, having said that, inspired by the wisdom that you both shared, what would you say to our friends who might be watching us and thinking, yes, we would love to go to a Spiritist Center again, but we live far from a particular center, or our family members don't quite understand us. We are not on the same page as one another, or not everyone around us even understands what Spiritism is, or we live in a state where there aren't any centers. What to do in situations like this? What would you say to our friends so that they too can overcome these obstacles?
Well,
Angie,
I will start, Mac. You complete.
Angie, yes.
Obstacles always will exist. It depends on us, what we want, what is better for me right now. Because, for example, if we think about all these possibilities, there will be always something. Oh, it's raining. That's one of the biggest excuses for not physically going to a Spiritist Center is the rain. But if we think about this, we are never going to go. What we have to really focus is, like, for example, if you used to go to a center before the pandemic, remember how it was. Remember how nice it was going to be there, to see so many faces that you already know, to meet so many new people, to be able to share ideas, to be introduced to someone that maybe lives close to you, to share ideas, to see a new book, to have this human exchange that is so important. Difficulties we'll have. Many times our family are the ones who create these difficulties. So we have to manage. Everything is balanced. So we have to talk, listen, Tuesday is the day that I really need. This is for me. And remember, husband or son or daughter or whoever, if I am good, if I am doing well, you are doing well, everybody's doing well. So help me to feel well and everything will be fine. And by the way, if you want to join me, it will be fantastic. But we have to respect the others. We can never impose anything on them. But if this is good for me, then I will move the mountains and I will do it. That's the very important thing to think about. And as Mackenzie was saying, it's such a blessing when we share common ideas. When we are in the Spiritist Center, I remember one time I went to an activity many, many years ago. It was a full day activity. And I was just thinking, my God, that's going to be crazy. it starts at 9 in the morning and ends at 5 o'clock. This is going to be crazy. No, it was fantastic. Of course, we were not just studying, but we were creating plans. We had group dynamics. We stopped to lunch. That family, you felt like family in really like in a big holiday. And it was fantastic. So this is one of the things that we have to bring back, because in many places this kind of got dissolved, but we can bring it back. I talk too much. Come on, Mackenzie. What talk?
Well, you said it all. I mean, I think exactly like you do. I mean, we all need, it doesn't matter what it is, we will always need uh, togetherness, right? It's even if, say, and maybe that's why some people are kind of far away from some physical activities, that they prefer to stay alone. Or, but this loneliness is is just uh, let's say physical. You have a problem or you have a difficulty, then but you need a group, and that's what I want to say. You need a group. We all need groups. I mean, oh, I need a group that likes to read books. I need a group that likes to watch movies. I need a group that likes. So if we are, and if we found ourselves that we are a group, a person that that I am a person that likes spirituality, I need a group of people who like spirituality. And once we start really learning this, that spirituality is this connection with above, but how can we connect to the above if we don't connect to the one that's my neighbor, right? To the person that's together with me. So that's why we walk better and we walking when we walk together, right? We support each other, and we inflame each other, and that's why we are inviting. I mean, it's in like Carl said very well. I mean, Jesus invited us, keeps inviting us. In this book that we talked about, that we studied, Sueli cites this wonderful message from the book Boa Nova. I don't know how it was translated to English. If you know, please feel free to say.
Yes, it's good news,
Good news.
Mackenzie.
Okay,
Good
so it's
news.
the
Uh-huh.
book. It's called Good News, where Jesus, and she cites this in this book, The Spiritual Dimensions of the Spiritist Center, when he invited the 500 of the Galilee. And who were those spirits? Who were those people? Those were the first people that were invited, other than the disciples, the original apostles and the disciples, to go and spread the word around the world. So spirits that were, sent to spread the word. We are being invited to spread the word. And it's not spread the word by speaking. We are here, us three, we are doing this by speaking. But I know so many people that spread the word by actions, by doing, not by saying that they're spiritists, but by being spiritists, or by being good Christians, or by being a good person, and are influencing other people just by doing, by acting. And if we are together in the Spiritist Center, we can help each other even more to 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 do this work, to do this kind of work, and to do better. Jesus is waiting for us, and um, we are late, or I am late. I'm not talking about you. I am late, so let's walk.
Yes, the invitation from Master Jesus is definitely given to each and every one of us. In the book, Paul and Stevens, Emmanuel writes or psychographs the dictates the foreword through Chico Xavier, telling us that we have all been personally called by Master Jesus. So, as you said, Mackenzie, Master Jesus knows us by name. What a feeling and what an honor for us to receive an invitation directly from Him. So, Angie, could you please share a final word of encouragement, given that you yourself opened a new spiritist nuclei there in Miami, Spiritist Center, that is shining beautifully. Could you share a word of encouragement with other friends who may not have a Spiritist Center? Do you think others could do what you have done?
Yes, we can all start it. We can all start it. We just need to have the desire of doing it. And for example, I moved here and I live far away from any centers. There is no centers near me, so I had to drive 1 hour and 15 minutes to be in the closest center. And then I always kept that desire of opening a center, but I was brand new to the city. I didn't know anyone. So I started having friends that lived relatively close to me and they were open to spiritism. So this is the big thing. Where I live, I really don't have any spiritists, but I have people that are open to these ideas. And then Kardec Radio helped me immensely because
Mhm.
we had these studies online much, much, much before the pandemic. So every time I met someone that was open to it, I invited to participate of my program or any program. And then I opened a group to study together. And then I start online and we were online discussing, and little by little, I start sharing the books and the studies, and I invited the people to join, especially because everything I do is always in English. And
Mhm.
Americans in Miami speak English.
Wow, incredible.
It's a
Yes.
challenge. The official language here is Spanish.
Right.
But when we want something, it happens. And
Mhm.
little by little, I started with these people that had a curiosity about mediumship, about reincarnation. And then I introduced them the ideas of spiritism. And there were so many questions. And I have many groups. Mackenzie, I'm the queen of groups. I have groups that you can dream about. I have it. Uh,
Oh, wonderful.
Today, I opened one group in my job.
Oh,
I need another
correct.
group. I
Oh,
opened a Brazilian group in my job. Anyway,
wonderful.
so I started inviting these people from other groups, and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna have a talk about spirituality, like something in
Mhm.
general." And people start joining, and then the pandemic really helped, and Kardec Radio. And when
Yeah.
things got better, then we start meeting in my house. I start
Mhm.
inviting people to come to my house. That's how Paul of Tarsus did. And that's how
Yes,
most of the spiritist centers start. You
exactly.
open your living room, your backyard, your garage, whatever. You invite people, and little by little, people start bringing a friend, a brother, a boyfriend, and then we grew. And then when
Yeah,
it reached to a point, okay, now we can rent a place because
yes,
people were already
beautiful.
committed, and that's how it started. So we
What
all
a
can do it.
beautiful journey, Angie. Thank you for sharing. And Mackenzie, for your final words, could you tell us a gift that you have received internally, an inner gift that you have received from the power of togetherness in the Spiritist Center of which you are a part? What is an inner gift that the togetherness brought to you?
Well, I mean, I guess it's a day-to-day thing. It's really, really, it's a day-to-day thing. It's great when we have an issue and we can use the the Spiritist Center, not the physicality of the Spiritist Center necessarily, but the group of people, right, that we tend to see and we see as a family to solve the issue that we have at hand. So so many times we didn't know how to do certain things, and then we come together and someone comes and say, hey, this is how we can do it. I already lived through this. We did it this way. Maybe it will not work here, but we can find a better way of doing it based on this experience. So it's this the sharing of ideas is a wonderful gift because people come from very different backgrounds. They have different knowledges, they have different backgrounds, families, and come from different places, so they have different ideas. Like, some people like groups, some people don't like groups, right, Andrew? Some people like, I don't want any more groups, and some people love groups. And with this, right, we have this diversity of people, which increases the colorful of life, right? So togetherness is, brings color to our lives, and makes us, see that we not only it is important, but that we need this. Can you imagine if, Henry Ford, his idea of having cars,
Mhm.
he says, everybody can have cars of any color if the color of the car is black.
Mhm.
Can you
Mhm.
imagine a world of black cars, only black cars, right?
Mhm.
So uh, I think that that's the power of togetherness. We
Mhm.
have we have ideas, we share a goal, but lots of people will think about that goal different ways, will walk different paths. One will pull us to this side, to the other side, and we will find better ways, and we will walk towards it. So I think that's one of the best gifts that I received, and that I appreciate every day being there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much to you both for empowering us with the power of togetherness. Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Carol, and thanks Kardec Radio for doing this. This is a
Course.
wonderful gift to all of us.
Yes, and together, with the power of togetherness, we will continue overcoming all obstacles, as obstacles are a sign of progress. Thank you so much for being willing to progress always. We wish you many blessings. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, everybody. God bless you all.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Many blessings. Thank you so much, friends.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, everyone, for joining us.